a small amount of alcohol intake or regular alcohol intake is associated with lower risk of cardiovascular disease, but then that's balanced by a slightly higher risk of certain cancers. So overall, if your main outcome is, say, how long do you live, there doesn't really seem to be any effect of alcohol, either beneficial or negative in terms of moderate consumption. If you try and then figure out, well, what's a safe amount to consume, there are several studies, and me, I'm particularly interested in the brain. So there was a recent study that looked at brain volume, so the size of people's brains, which decreases over time. That's associated with risk of cognitive decline and dementia. And a drink once a week seemed to be just fine, but beyond that, you maybe start to see some detrimental effects. Two studies that basically suggest that drinking 1 or 2 drinks 1 or 2 times a week is probably fine, but anything above that, there's certainly no benefit, and then it may be detrimental to our brain health and our other health. The other side of that, though, is that often people drink alcohol in social situations, and that if it's helping to facilitate social connection, it's not always black and white, good or bad. But higher levels of drinking than that don't seem to be associated with improved health and maybe associated with worse health. But there, drinking some amount is probably just fine. But then context and other things are going to be important as well. People really don't want to give up alcohol, and I'm not here saying that you should. Of course, I do drink occasionally and socially, but you might think about what is it that's alcohol is facilitating for you? Like, why has it become a habit if it is a habit? And so if it's the social aspect, then actually now it's much easier to get non-alcoholic cocktails, non-alcoholic beers. You can still go out and you can have that same kind of ritual with your friends or with yourself that gives you that feeling of relaxation, even though there's no alcohol involved. So you can get all of those benefits. You can still feel like you're getting that de-stressing at the end of the day with like a beer in front of the TV or something like that. All of that is still possible. And so you can think about maybe replacing those things in occasionally. And then it's also worth thinking about often when people sort of fight against the idea that maybe they may be drinking too much. Often we hear about that it's like they're bargaining. Oh, but I do all these other things. So isn't it okay that I drink alcohol? And I'm not here to judge one way or the other, but it's just worth thinking about. Like, are you trying to find ways to justify it? And if you are, then that maybe signifies that that's worth thinking about even deeper and maybe considering some alternatives.